I am. Never stop asking yourself that question. What would love do now? In every circumstance, in every situation, in all your relationships, in those moments where you just feel angry and frustrated, or you just have a decision to make. Perhaps it's even a small decision. What would love do now? Would I go and talk to this person? Would I make this decision today? Well, let's consult love. Let's consult the infinite wisdom of universal mind. And what would love do now? For me, what would love do right now is to remind each and every one of us that we have a mission here, that there is a mission that Unity has. And I'm going to read you something in a second. It's very important because it comes from the granddaughter of the Fillmores. Yes, Rosemary Fillmore Rhea. And it's in this wonderful book, How to Let God Help You. If you guys don't have a copy of this is Myrtle Fillmore's writings, and it's incredible. And it's set up in the introduction by her granddaughter, and it's a very beautiful thing. The first thing that she says is Unity's mission in our world is to help people release those fears and hurts that bind and confine so that we may experience and express the love that we are. So it's not just enough to ask, what would love do now? But it's a discovery that I am the love of God in action. It's a true, authentic discovery that that's what I am. But I'm not going to experience it if I still have the fears and feel the hurts. And it's certainly not your fault that you have fears or that you've been hurt. It's not your fault at all. It's just now is the time to release it and to heal from it. And hopefully today I'm going to help you to realize how you can release yourself and others from those fears and those hurts and break the pattern of attack and defense. Break the pattern of separation and division and judgment of one another so that we can truly get together and try to love one another right now. Another thing that Rosemary says in the introduction to this book is that Unity's mission in our world will be even more important in these times. So it was and has been important since the Unity movement began in the 1890s, but it's even more important now. Why? Because it is a healing ministry. And it looks beyond the theologies that separate into the love that inspires all religions. And so it seeks to find those things that connect us. It seeks to find the common ground that connects us and the common truth that we all share. And because Unity has no strict doctrine or dogma to protect, it transcends the walls that we have erected to keep us from experiencing our oneness with God. And I would add, our oneness with one another. This mystical, loving light that we call Unity is universal. And I'm going to stop right there for a second because I want to remind us that every week we say this in the beginning, that Unity Worldwide has a vision of a world powerfully transformed by what? The growing movement of our shared spiritual awakening. And so it actually has a very simple mission. And our mission statement is to advance that movement. If we have a growing movement of spiritual awakening that we share, then our mission is to advance that movement. And how we advance it is through unity. Not just the teachings of unity, but unity. The idea of it, the concept of unity. The idea that we are all joined in this one truth. That we are all divine in nature. And it's so important that we just get back to basics and realize that we can act from those basic truths if we choose. The power of choice is yours. So we're advancing this movement of spiritual awakening that we share through the teachings of unity, which is a positive path for, I would just say, for living. Spiritual living, that's living, my friends. There is no other kind of living to me except spiritual living. Seeing God in the flowers, seeing God in the rain and the sun, and in your vegetable garden, perhaps. Seeing God in your neighbor, of course, and in your family, the ones you live with, the ones you love. Seeing God even in the stranger and even in the one you disagree with. And as our master teacher and way shower, Yeshua, would say, even in your enemy, you are meant to look for the Christ. See the light in that person, as Wayne Dyer would say, and act as if that's all you see. See the light in them, and then act as if that's all there is to see. Look beyond all of the physical manifestations of the ego, all of that interference, to seeing the perfection in that person. Because all they're really doing when they are angry, when they're lashing out, when you're in conflict, is acting from that place of fear and hurt. And so we are going to focus on releasing ourselves from that fear and that hurt. We're going to advance the movement of spiritual awakening. And it must be witnessed to through something else. It's spiritual awakening and transformation. If a transformation does not happen, it's not a true spiritual awakening. If you haven't changed, if you haven't said, wow, I used to look at things this way, but now, I really see it differently now. I really see there is no place for racism in the world. For instance, there really is no place for income inequality. There really is no place for sexism or women earning less than men. There really is no place in this world for innocent people to die for no reason at all. There really is no place in this world to see anything but the light in your brother and sister and draw that out. Because if they are acting from a place that is uncomfortable for you, perhaps they're just in fear and in pain. They're acting from hurt. They're acting from fear. And they are lost to themselves. They don't know who they are. And so I love this beautiful statement that I read you in the beginning. When we release the fears and hurts that bind and confine us, then we may experience and express the love that we are. We know that we are love, and therefore we are expressing it. So to discover that, I feel, is the greatest gift of life. To discover that you truly are the love of God. And that love of God in action is a result of your transformation. Your transformation is the result of your spiritual awakening. And so that's how we can tell that we're waking up. We actually are transforming. Our minds are different. We don't react the same any longer to those old things that used to irritate us, that used to get us really angry. Now we react, or we respond. Instead of react, we respond with forgiveness. When I used to react out of anger, now I stop and respond with forgiveness. Forgiveness offers me everything that I want. This is the lessons that Lily was offering us in our meditation. Forgiveness will bring me what I really want, which is peace. Forgiveness is actually the greatest gift that we can offer the world. I read this beautiful statement last night from a friend of mine. The practice of forgiveness is our most important contribution to to the healing of the world. Remember, unity is a healing ministry. And so our practice of forgiveness is our most important contribution to the healing of the world. And then it adds the sentence, angry people cannot create a peaceful planet. Forgiveness will bring me the peace that I desire. And then I can bring that peace to others. And in time, if they're upset by my peace, I know they'll forgive me because I've already forgiven them. And so therefore, I can forgive myself for the past as well. You know, yesterday I was talking about forgiveness with Lily. We had quite a deep conversation about the things that we have been forgiving in our life. And I was pretty honest about the places I still get stuck. And I'd say, you know, I thought I forgave that person, but when I think about them or I see them, I still get a little angry about what happened. And she says to me, we've gone over this 100 times. How perfect it was. Each and every step along the way had to happen to get us to where we are now. And we're very happy where we are now. So we bless them for playing that role in our lives. And we've done that actively. But I know that if you don't continue to do that, the old way of thinking will start creeping in again. And you'll start reacting instead of responding. You'll start thinking something went wrong instead of seeing the perfection in it. So as I saw the perfection all down the line, it occurred to me the one person that I didn't see as perfect and the one person I hadn't forgiven was myself. I still somehow felt guilty for the past, for my part in it. There's something really amazing in the healing of our minds is that when we take responsibility for our part in our story, like the 12 steps, we take responsibility for our part. Your part is your part, but I need to take responsibility for my part. And I need to seek direct amends wherever possible, unless it would hurt another or myself. And so, in that light, as soon as we acknowledge our part in this story that we call our life, and this story that we call the world around us, as soon as you acknowledge your part in it, then you can begin to accept forgiveness for all the things you thought that went wrong, all the people that you hurt, or all the things that you thought were detrimental to your happiness. Because in fact, the universe is perfect. And it's always responding in perfection to your level of consciousness. It's always going to respond with healing. But it is our job to increase our awareness of the healing that is available. And it is our choice also to accept that healing. Because if not, we'll just repeat the same patterns. So here's another thing. That there's three levels to this. I won't say levels, aspects to this healing that I'm talking about. The first one is releasing the fear. And this is what Rosemary Phil-Morea was talking about in the book. Is we release the fears and the hurts that bind us to the past, that confine us to those limited thoughts and to our guilt, to our blame, to our shame, and to our judgment of others. They bind us to tension and anxiety, which creates sickness in your body, which creates sickness in our society. They bind us to our opinions, which quite often need an enemy in order to exist. And so we need to release those opinions. And when we do that, we will not have any enemies. The Course in Miracles says, when I have released the past and forgiven myself, and remembered who I am, there will be no more past, and therefore, no more enemies. Isn't that amazing? When I release the past, I release all the guilt I have placed on others. And I've released the idea that something went wrong. You see, nothing in the universe can go wrong. There are no accidents. There is only perfection in the universe. So all the things that are occurring now in our world are waking us up to the fact that we need to get going and loving and healing one another and sticking with the truth. So the first thing about releasing the fear is letting go of the past. That is such a big, huge part of it. Without the past, there will be no enemies. No past, no enemies. Remember that. I can make a bumper sticker. No past, no enemies. The next thing is dropping your grievances. Now, if I pick it up again, drop it. Just drop it. You pick up a negative thought, you can drop it because you're the one picking it up. So just drop it again. Drop it like a hot potato. Drop it like, the Buddha said, holding resentments is like holding a hot stone and thinking the other person's going to get burned. Who's the one holding the grievance? That hot stone. You are. You're the one getting burned. And so the next one is when we've been able to begin to release and let go of the past and our grievances, here we go. Keep our minds now focused on the truth. Because our minds will be clear. We can focus on the truth, on the light and the love that exists within us and all around us. So keep our minds focused on the truth. And that's a good way to fill up the space that was left by your grievances. When you release your grievances and you don't have any kind of practice, any spirit, what happens? You pick them back up or you invent new ones. I've experienced that in my life quite often. I'd be mad at somebody and all of a sudden they're gone and out of my life, or I move to another town or something. I'll find somebody else to get angry with. Why? Because I didn't forgive them back in the old town. I brought that grievance with me. So what am I doing? I'm projecting it onto the next person. And this is a pattern of the human mind that has to be stopped individually by you, your spiritual practice. And we can help each other do that, and we do, because this is why we have this place, to help each other, to advance the movement of spiritual awakening and transformation. That's our mission, to advance that movement. Okay, so the next thing is healing the hurts. Excuse me. Wow. I was healing the pollen or something. Releasing the past. But healing the hurts is like the next step, and it's a little more active because we're going to realize that we can actively forgive. Forgiveness is medicine for our soul. Forgiveness. Actively forgive. Like in the meditation today, we actively see that person in the light and as part of us and as a holy expression of God. The next thing is acceptance. Accepting all our brothers and sisters and accepting just how they are and looking beyond the appearance to the truth. Accepting that the Christ dwells in each and every one. And when we begin to accept each other, we're also going to be able to celebrate one another. We're going to be able to celebrate. Our differences is what we celebrate. It's what makes us the human family. It's like a bouquet of flowers. You want a lot of different colors in the bouquet. You want a lot of different sizes and shapes and colors because it makes it more beautiful. And they all exist together to make up the bouquet. A single flower by itself, it can be beautiful, but it doesn't really sparkle if it doesn't have a relationship to some other things, some other flowers. And so, just like the bouquet of flowers, we are one human family with a lot of different aspects of God, a lot of different aspects of expression of the divine. And so this is why we're here, to celebrate each other and our different abilities and talents and our different expressions of the divine here on earth. And as we begin to appreciate each and every one, we can celebrate our love for one another. And so in that, the next step is I'm going to find my freedom from all the fears and the hurts, the judgments. I'm going to find my freedom from judgment, from blame, from shame, and from guilt. Those aren't just words. Those are emotions that we carry around with us. When I find my freedom from judging myself and others, then there's no one left to blame. Because I realize everything's been perfectly orchestrated for my highest good. There is no more shame because I realize that I have undergone an awakening and transformation. And that however I acted in the past, it's over. It doesn't matter how I showed up in the past. I'm choosing a different reality now. And that brings about a real transformation of the person. From just limited human being to spiritual being. And so I'm also going to find freedom from toxic relationships. You know, as one who grew up in a family that did experience addictions, after I was very young when I had a miracle and I had no more desire for drugs or alcohol. But I always attracted alcoholics and drug addicts into my life. I attracted toxic relationships because that's what I thought was normal. That's not normal, folks. Normal is see the light in your brothers and sisters, and that's all you see. See the light and the Christ in your brothers and sisters. And that's who you'll be living with, the Christ. You'll be surrounded by healers. You will be surrounded by the light every day on a continuous basis. You'll be surrounded by relationships that works and an abundance and prosperity that never ends. You'll be surrounded by good health in your body, mind, and spirit. You'll be surrounded by this lovely energy of authentic people who have broken the patterns of fear and hurt that have been binding you to the past and confining you to limited ideas about yourself, the world, and others. These limited ideas are beginning to be broken up now, and I hope you allow them to be broken up. And so we're also going to find a freedom from the patterns of negative thinking. I am going to be free from the negative patterns of thought that I have carried around with me, that have led to all of the hurt and all of the fear being dragged into the future. It's not here in this moment now. This moment, spend a moment with God, with the universe. Spend a moment with love. And you will find that all of that past fear and hurt will disappear. And you can come to this place anytime you choose. You can come to this place of perfect oneness with God, perfect healing, and the knowledge that all is well, now and forever. This is your decision. You can come to this place anytime you want, because this is your true reality. When you are free from negative patterns of thought, you're also free to be creative in your loving, creative in your extension of God, mind, in the world. And so you are free from the world of separation. You are not only free from separation just from each other, but the whole world of separation is no longer where you live. You live in the reality of oneness. And so transformation is occurring. Transformation, if you follow these steps, if you release the fear, if you heal the hurts, and if you find your freedom, you are really transformed. You have awakened spiritually, and now you're ready to shine that light and truly be the light of the world. The transformation that has occurred has brought you from limited man to unlimited spiritual being. It has grown that spark of light, the Christ light within you, into a real living fullness of Christ here and now within you, living in the world. Drop the old man, said Paul in the New Testament. Just drop it. I've become a new man, right? He was transformed from Saul to Paul, from a mercenary to a preacher. Amazing. Amazing. He was transformed. And so must we be transformed from what we thought we were to what we truly are, and grow that spark of light into the fullness of Christ. This is our mission in Unity. Really, it's to not just have a vision of a world powerfully transformed by the growing movement of our spiritual awakening, our shared spiritual awakening, but it's about being the active ingredient in that spiritual awakening, being transformed, not just attempting to transform something out there, because we need to experience it for ourselves. If we want to see more love in the world, we're going to have to be more love. If we want to see more faith in the world, we're going to have to be more faith. If we want to see more healing in the world, we're going to have to be healed. If we want to see abundance, we're going to have to be abundant. If we want to see togetherness, we're going to have to take the step to invite our neighbor in. It's up to each and every one of us individually. And guess what? You do have the equipment. You do have the tools within your own consciousness to do it. And it's called the light of Christ. It's the second principle of unity, my friends, that divine spark, the Christ light, dwells in every individual. I'm here to help you ignite that spark and turn it up full blast, okay? It's a mystical, loving light. Let me read this passage. In closing, I'd like to read this short passage from the book, How to Let God Help You. The mystical, loving light that we call unity is universal. It is that in us that sees beyond what seems to be to what is real and true. It knows no special religion. It knows no national boundary and no cultural division. It is the unity that flows from the heart of the universe to heal and to bless our world. I have seen the spirit of unity as I looked into the faces of unity friends in Moscow. I saw it in the lovely eyes of a Polynesian woman who lived on a remote island in the South Pacific 1,000 miles from Tahiti. It was in the smile of the Buddhist monk in Japan and in the laughter of a young Hindu friend in New Delhi. It is in the devotion of the Muslim family in Tehran. This spirit is everywhere present. And as we come together in this spirit, we become part of the evolution of consciousness of this divine love that will lift our world into the new millennium. I have a feeling that this is what's happening right here and right now. This is the mission of unity. And thank you for joining on this mission. Continue to be blessed and be a blessing, my friends. We'll be with you always. We'll be right here. Amen.
You have been watching the message from our Sunday celebration service here at Unity on Cape Cod, providing a positive path for spiritual living. Please join us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at 147 Walton Ave, Hyannis, Mass. And visit us online at www.unityoncapecod.org.